So I asked a moment ago, we'll talk about this. What was that moment in your life? I'm a guy, I'm a man. For the men in the audience, what was that moment in your life that you finally realized that you woke up and realized you're a man? And I'm not talking sexuality. That's not where I'm going. But what happened in your life that all of a sudden you woke up and went, that's it. These are real issues, real scenarios. I'm a man. And for the ladies in our office or listening, what were the moments you woke up and went, I'm an adult. This is it. I'm a woman. I'm no longer a girl. I'm no longer a young lady. I'm a woman. I've reached womanhood. I'm not talking sexuality. I'm not talking that. What were those moments in life where you woke up and all of a sudden you realized I'm truly an adult? And it's adulting. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff. I'm sitting in for Chris Kroc. Chris is off tonight. Unexpectedly, I get the call to sit in. Bunch of ways you can connect with me. Phone number is 800-288-9227. That's 800-288-9227. What was that moment in your life that something happened, that you laid your head on the pillow that night and went, I've officially arrived. I'm an adult. I've got several for me. Another way you can reach out to me, by the way, is at Westside Jeff. I'm on X, formerly known as Twitter, also on Facebook and Instagram. So you can hit me up messaging that way too, at Westside Jeff. But 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. I got several examples for me. And I want to ask you, what happened in your life? What did you go through that all of a sudden you woke up and went, I'm an adult? If you're a guy, you woke up and said, I'm a man. Put on my man pants and let's go. And if you're a woman, you said it's time to pull up those big girl pants and let's be a woman of the family, a woman in the in our community. What happened to you? What occurred, and how did you deal with it? 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. I'm always curious, what kind of an event did it take in your life or your child's life or your cousin's life, a loved one, that you witnessed, you experienced, and all of a sudden realized that's adulthood? Now, I say that because I'm married, Mrs. Westside Jeff. We've been married 29 years. It'll be 30 years coming up, in a month and a half. April 23rd. Less than a month and a half, actually a month. We've been married 30 years. We have two daughters. Danielle, she's 28, lives up in Columbus, Ohio. She's a physical therapist. She's married a guy from Cleveland, and they do not have kids, but she's buying a house. They are buying their first house, and she is mini me. She is me. She is decisive. She's got a plan. She's got her life planned out. She's a perfectionist. There's a place for everything and everything in its place. Her husband, not so much, but opposites attract. She's mini me. And as she's buying her house, I'm talking to her almost daily about all the things about buying a house, about the things to look for. They had an inspection on Monday. And this is one of those moments that I knew it all along. I'm a man. I'm an adult, right? I'm much older, having a 28-year-old. So I get it. I understand it. But moments like this remind you that you're an adult. So working through my oldest daughter's issues of buying a house and the events of that. And I've talked to her about it and said, okay, here's what you got to look for in the inspection. First and foremost is the house she's buying has a basement, and it's got sewer lines, and they've got lines in the basement that can back up. So I said, you got to pay particular attention to make sure the sewer lines in that community are, because she's got big trees in her yard that she's buying, that if those tree roots get into the sewer lines, it could back up in the house and she could have a real problem. Those are the things that you can't see. She's looking at the roof. She's looking at the plumbing. She's looking at the electrical. Her and I've talked about these things. But this is that moment she said to me several times, I don't want to be an adult. And I'm like, well, honey, if you don't want to be an adult, then don't buy a house. Welcome to adulthood. If you don't want to be an adult, then don't get married and have kids. You're 28. It's time. Grow up. It's what we deal with day in and day out, right? My youngest daughter, Sydney, she turns 24 years old today. Happy birthday, Sydney. Sydney lives up in Knoxville, Tennessee. I talked to her a couple hours ago, called her and told her I love her and happy birthday. I'm sorry I can't be up in Knoxville with her today, but I'm down here in my home, broadcasting and talking with you. I'm sure she's not listening. She's celebrating with her friends. But her and I had the comment about adulting and about growing up and about reaching that moment where you become an adult. We all have those moments in life where something happens that all of a sudden you wake up and realize, I'm not a child, I'm not a kid anymore, I'm an adult. I'm a man or I'm a woman. Events in our life. What was it for you? 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. You can also hit me up across social media at Westside Jeff. For Sydney, my youngest one, who turns 24 today, hers, she's going through as she is renting an apartment. She has a roommate. It's her third or fourth roommate. She goes through roommates like I go through golf balls. And their lease is up in May. So she's got to find a new place. And she wants to bring another friend of hers in. So there's 3 roommates, and they're looking to rent a house, not just a traditional apartment. So they're working with a realtor on finding a home that they could rent in a nicer community up in Knoxville where 3 of them could do it. And it's all those things that we coach our kids through about roommates, about sharing expenses, about how do you set that up? Who's responsible for what? Because when you, especially with 3 roommates, with 3 people renting a place, there's always that, I thought you were doing that. No, I thought you were doing that. Well, who's going to call the repair guy for this? Our refrigerator's in the blink. Who's going to fix that? Who do you know? And it's the other roommates doing it thing. Those are the moments of adulting that we all grow up and we go, oh, we become adults. For me, those moments of adulthood, those moments where I woke up and realized I'm a man, I can think of a couple of them. And one of them is marriage, when I got married. Because when I was single and working in the career of radio, not making a ton of money and just enjoying life, my attitude was, you know what? If this fails, if this doesn't work for me, it's okay. Because I can go find another job and I can support myself. It's just me. What the heck? Not a big deal. I can cover my expenses. I got it covered. Hell, I could go wait tables somewhere and do it. But when I fell in love and got married, I remember sitting up a few nights, a little stressed out, hard to get to sleep because I'm like, it's one thing when it's just me and I'm counting on myself. If I lose a job, I've got a bailer outer. I called it a bailer outer. My dad or my mom would help if need be. Boy, you get married, and that's a different story. That's when I'm like, okay, I'm a man. That's when I grew up, that moment of adulting. When was that moment for you? What was that moment in your life? When did you finally realize that you were a man or that you were a woman, that you were an adult and life has changed? I'd love to hear your answer on that. 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. You can also hit me up across social media at Westside Jeff. I have 3 other scenarios where things have happened to me and a couple with my kids where adulthood all of a sudden hit. We'll talk about that coming up in 4 minutes. I want to hear yours. I'll tell you mine. Westside Jeff in for Chris Crock on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Jeff is the name. Westside Jeff. Grew up on the west side of Columbus, Ohio. It's where I was born and raised. Now sitting here in the studio, North Texas, talking with you. Again, grew up on the west side, so people called me West Side at the time, just in passing, and it kind of stuck. Jeff is the name, and thanks for listening. I'm sitting in for Chris Crock as Chris is off tonight unexpectedly. I find it odd that last night somebody hit a bunch of lottery tickets across the country, maybe some here in Texas. I don't know if that's it or not, but he's off, and he'll be back at some point in time and tell us a little more about what he's been up to. But in the meantime, you got me, Westside Jeff, and listening to News Talk 820 WBAP, talking about the fact that I was born and raised in Ohio. I'm married 30 years, coming up April 23rd, 2 daughters. And as I'm talking through things with my daughters, there are moments in life where you wake up and you realize you're an adult. What are those moments for you? 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. I got 3 more I'll tell you about coming up in just a couple minutes. But first, I want to get to Dave in Dallas. Dave, thanks for listening. You're on the Chris Crock Show. I'm Westside Jeff in for Chris. Tell me about the moment that you all of a sudden woke up and you said, welcome to adulthood. You finally realized you're a man.
Be honest with you, it was after about 20-something years of marriage. About 2 years ago, my wife almost passed away with COVID, and it wasn't looking good at all. And I realized that, hey, I just work, put money in the bank. She takes care of everything. I had to learn really fast how to take care of stuff. And that's when I realized she's been raising 3 kids all these years. So, yeah, nearly 57 years old, and that's when it happened for me.
She okay? She survived it all?
She did, like a miracle. They said she wasn't going to make it through the weekend, and I argued with them and wasn't going to have it. And we prayed and prayed and prayed. She's went to rehab for about 2 months after she finally got out of the hospital, and she came home in a wheelchair, then a walker, and now she's walking and she's back to normal now.
Changed your marriage, I bet, didn't it?
Yes. Oh, yes.
A lot of things in life, Dave, that we take for granted. And sometimes one of them is our partnership that we have with our loved one and our marriage, and sometimes our family. And it takes moments like that of fear of loss that you wake up one day and say, I've been taking that for granted. And you know what? It's a life changer, isn't it?
It is. Yes, it is. It's, it's a big difference in everything, the way our relationship and everything. And me personally, I believe in miracles and I believe in God. I've seen a miracle, so it's changed my life and hers. And it was pretty rough for a long time.
What's her name, Dave?
Christy.
And how long you been married to Christy?
26 years.
Beautiful thing about the radios is an opportunity to tell someone you love that you love them. What do you want to say to her?
I want to tell her, Christy, I love you, and I'm thankful you made it.
I am too, Dave. Thanks for calling. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for being part of the show tonight.
Yes, sir,
my name's Jeff. Thank you, Dave. That was Dave. I'm Jeff, Westside Jeff in for Chris Crock. There are moments in our life that you wake up and all of a sudden you realize that you're an adult. And I'm dealing with it with my 2 kids. I got a note from Duncan Fiedler that said, Duncan, thank you for listening, by the way. He's a regular listener. When I'm on the air for Chris, I get a note from Duncan, my buddy. I think he's up in Chicago listening, and he always shoots me a note, says, enjoy the show and love listening to you. Duncan said, Jeff, my moment of adulthood when I realized I was a man, he said, it's good to hear you. My son's birth was 3 months premature. He said, I was in my 30s at that time. I made a lot of deals with the Lord that day. Duncan, I get it. I understand it. Those are the moments that you'd wake up, and that's when you realized you're a man. That your birth of your son, 3 months premature, and making deals with the Lord. Hopefully you've kept up with your deals. And there are moments in life that just shock us, that make us wake up and pinch us and say, you're awake, you're alive, you're a man. Or you're awake, you're alive, you're a woman. And a lot of the things that we're talking about are family issues, things that affect our livelihood, or those that we love. I mentioned a moment ago some of the things that stuck out to me in my life. If you want to weigh in, again, you can hit me up across social media at Westside Jeff. You can also pick up the phone and call me at 800-288-9227. That's 800-288-WBAP. I've had several moments in my life where were life-changing moments. One of them, and I didn't wake up overnight and realize I'm a man, but I realized I was different. And that is at the age of 17, I came down with viral pneumonia and had a fever of 104, got up to 105. I was sick for a week. Finally, my mom threw me in the car. I was living at home. I was 18 years. I just turned 18. And my mom said, we're going to the hospital. She took me to Children's Hospital in Columbus, Ohio. I was there for almost 2 weeks. I almost died. I don't remember anything about it. I was in a coma or not a coma, but I was in ICU for a week. And after I got out of the hospital, the doctor said to me, there was a moment he thought we were going to lose me. I don't remember much about it. It was a life-changing moment, though. I felt like the Lord gave me a second life, a second opportunity, and it's dramatically changed how I live my life and who I am and my DNA. And when you hear the things that I say, that's one of those things in my life that was a dramatic, life-changing moment that impacts everything that I believe and everything that I respond to and react to. Another one is, I mentioned a moment ago, marriage. Marriage dramatically changed my life. I never thought I'd get married. All my life, I thought I'd be single and never have kids. I was okay with that. I didn't get married till I was 34, and I didn't really want to get married and have kids. Then I met Mrs. Westside and was like, that dramatically changed my life. And that was a moment after marriage and after the fun of the wedding and the honeymoon and all that. I got home, and after those initial weeks of being married, there were tough moments of communicating back and forth with my wife and expectations that I remember driving home and thinking, this is life. This is real. I'm a man. I'm not just a boy. I'm not just a kid. I've got other responsibilities. Another one that changed my life, and I think every parent can say this, is the birth of their child. I had two daughters. And those moments, I'll never forget the first one, her coming out, yakking, screaming, hollering, nuts, red, all that stuff. And doctors wiped off the baby. Danielle's my oldest. She's now 28. Put her in my arms, and she stopped crying and just looked at me. And that was a moment I went, oh my God, I'm a man. And the second one was with Sydney, my youngest one. As she came out, I could tell there was an issue. I don't know exactly what it was. I figured that out later. The umbilical cord was wrapped around her. The doctor, you could tell, was very calm under pressure. And if she wasn't, there would have been a real big problem. She got it undone, got it taken care of without me knowing what was going on, because I've never experienced that. Gave me the snips and said, why don't you cut the umbilical cord? That moment, I realized I'm a man. I ask you the question, what was the moment in your life where something changed, something happened to you or a loved one that you woke up and said, I'm an adult, I'm a man, or I'm a woman? What was the moment? What happened in your life that changed? 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff in for Chris Crock. You can also hit me up across social media at Westside Jeff. By the way, coming up in about 3 minutes, Mickey Briggs in the newsroom has an update on what's going on with the DART improvements in ADA compliance across the area, and the City Council, Dallas City Council, passing an initiative earlier today. We talked about it. He's got an update on that coming up in 3 minutes. On the other side of this, I want to talk about adulthood moments. Yours, mine, weigh in, 800-288-9227. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff in for Chris Crock on News Talk 820. WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. So we're talking about, moments that you woke up in life and realized I'm an adult. I'm a full-fledged adult. I have real-life adult issues. My buddy Dustin Fiedler said that it was the moment that is when he was in his 30s, and he shot me a note that said, hey, Jeff, the moment I realized I'm a man is in my early 30s when my son was born 3 months early as a premature baby. That's when I realized, okay, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm a full-blown man, and it's time to put my man boots on and my man hat on and be a man, be an adult, and be a father, and be the matriarch, so to speak, of our family. That would absolutely wake me up, no doubt about it. So I ask you, what was the moment in your life that you had, or the moment that you deal with your kids, where adulthood set in, that moment where you're like, okay, no longer a child, no longer a youngster, now it's time to be an adult? I'm dealing with that right now with two daughters. Jeff is the name, Westside Jeff, sitting in for Chris Crock. Two daughters. Danielle is 28. She got married year and a half ago to a guy named Nick. He's from Cleveland, and they live up in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, which is where I was born and raised. They're buying their first house. They've been renting a house up till now, and they've got money saved up. They've got a lot to put down, but she is mini-me. She is a perfectionist. She's got a plan for everything. She plans her work, works her plan, and very linear and very planned out, timed out everything. She's a perfectionist. She's got ADHD, obsessive compulsive, sort of like me. She's got everything planned out, and she doesn't like curveballs. She doesn't like when things don't go down her way. As we're talking about things with her about buying a house, and the other thing is, she has a mentality that she grew up in a household where her father took care of those things. And her husband's not like her dad when it comes to that. So her husband's more laissez-faire, and she's the one more so wearing the pants in that family as it relates to the details of buying a house and the details, setting up the inspection, looking at the roof, going through the plumbing, talking about the electrical. What are the mechanicals? What are the things that can go wrong? Are they in good shape, and what do we need to do? So she's waking up now as a 28-year-old. It's one of those moments in her life where she's waking up and going, I'm a full-blown woman. I'm no longer a child, no longer a kid, no longer a college student. I'm an adult. And adulting sometimes sucks. And her and I talk about that a lot. Her name's Danielle. What was a moment for you? You woke up and said, I'm an adult. This is real. I'm for real. It's a life-changing event. 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. One of them for me would have been last night if I hit that damn Powerball, $1 billion. That's when I would have woke up and said, whoa, I'm an adult, because I would have had real-world problems then. But what was the moment for you? 800-288-9227 is the phone number, 800-288-WBAP. You can also hit me up across social media at Westside Jeff on Facebook, on Instagram, also on X. A couple of moments for me that stuck out where I woke up and realized I'm no longer a kid, I'm no longer a boy, I'm no longer a college student, young man, I'm a man. And I'm not talking sexually, I'm talking about life events. I mentioned a moment ago, one of them for me was marriage. I didn't plan on getting married and having kids, but I did. And those were two moments that I'm like, I'm a man. This is it. But another one was buying and building a dream house. It was, trying to think how old I was. I was probably 40 years old, right about 40. And I was living, my wife and I were married. We had 2 kids. She was 35. And her 2 daughters were, I have to think back to that, probably 6 and 3, something like that. And we were on our second house in a very nice neighborhood. And I knew what I was looking for. Her and I have talked for years about, okay, as we're growing a family, creating a family, and as we're growing our income and thinking about big picture, long term, where we want to be in life. I remember saying to my wife, we are going to have some wealth, not a lot of wealth, but that we could spend on our lives and lifestyle. And I remember saying to my wife, a lot of folks that we knew at the time were buying vacation homes somewhere, a cabin or something, and spending time there. I remember saying to my wife, honey, would you prefer to buy a vacation home or cabin or something like that we can travel to? We lived up in Ohio at that time. Would you like to buy a place? We're avid golfers. She is too. We both are. Would you prefer to buy a second home, call it Pinehurst, North Carolina, golf mecca, or Hilton Head Island, another golf mecca, or somewhere in Florida where we could go on long weekends, spend a lot of time, get away from, at that time, winter time, because we lived up in Ohio, and that we could have our primary residence where we lived up in Ohio, but a secondary residence somewhere we could spend playing and raising kids. So going back and forth. Would you rather have 2 places or would you prefer to have one really nice place that we call our nest and that is the very foundation of everything we do? I would have preferred the first two locations. She preferred the second, a dream home. I was okay with it. I wasn't upset about it. I wasn't anti that, but I would have preferred the first. So I knew what I wanted in a dream home. It's another great topic I want to get into tomorrow night, if I'm here tomorrow night, if Chris isn't back, is building a dream home. So I started creating a list of things in a dream home. And I made a long list of things that are important to me and to my wife. We talked it through. I talked to a bunch of buddies, got some advice. And I'm not talking about things that just material things. I'm talking about things that I wanted in a dream home that would make my life easier. It's about sustainability. It's about building a home that makes life easier. Life only gets stressful as you get older with kids, right? So I wanted to think about what would a dream home look like. Well, I had a long list, and the dream home included multiple bathrooms, multiple bedrooms, multiple spaces in the house that we could all enjoy and call our own, kind of a daddy room, a mommy room, a kid's room. So we made a list of those things, and we built that into our dream house. Well, we lived in our original house, our second home. I found what was going to be our dream home, excuse me, and my intention was it was a 1,600 square foot home, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. I found it on a Sunday afternoon, driving down the road of a very, very nice community that I knew I stumbled into a big deal, a hell of a deal. So I pulled over. It was a sign in the yard that said for sale. It wasn't a realtor sign. I knew enough because I'd been looking at places. I had gone to the city hall and the communities I wanted to build in. I had gone through the plot maps. I'd identified different homes I would have liked to have bought. Homes with large enough lots I could build a 3-car garage onto it, because it's one of the things I wanted as in my dream home is a 3-car garage. I knocked on doors and talked to people and said, hey, I'm interested in buying a home in this community. Would you, are you at all interested in selling yours, whether it be now or in the next 3 years? And I talked to some folks and they thought I was nuts, but you ought to know that about me. That's what I did. I stumbled across what was going to be our dream home on a Sunday afternoon, and it's amazing how that story went down. And that was one of those stories when I knew I'd crossed over into manhood. I knew I was an adult, and there were going to be a lot of sleepless nights because problems were in front of me, and I didn't know what I was getting into, but I learned real quick. Welcome to adulthood. I want to tell you about that in 4 minutes. Again, what were the moments in your life you woke up and you realized I'm an adult, I'm a man, or I'm a woman? What happened in your life? 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. I'll finish my story about mine and a new home, where we went, where we started, where we ended. It's a fascinating story. I'll get into that in 4 minutes. I'm Westside Jeff in for Chris Kroc on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Jeff is the name. Westside Jeff in for Chris Kroc tonight. Might be back tomorrow night, depending on Chris. We'll find out. I think I am, but we'll see. It's always great to get a chance to sit here in the studio in Chris's chair and have a conversation with you. That's all I do. Just a conversation with the community about things that are important to us, things that are important to me. I'll tell you, one of the things important to me is food supply, and I saw Mickey Briggs in the newsroom. He's covering the news, keeping us up to date. Mickey has a story coming up about our food supply and an issue here in Texas. The Department of Agricultural Commissioner Sid Miller says precautions are in place over something with their food supply. He's working on that story. He'll have that for you coming up in 10 minutes, top of the hour news. our food supply here in Texas could be in jeopardy. He's got that news story that's something that just occurred. Garrett is answering the phones. If you want to weigh in, 800-288-9227. Talking about those moments in life where you woke up and realized you're an adult. What changed? What happened that you all of a sudden realized, at least in my case, I'm a man? Or in my wife's case, she's a woman. What occurred? 800-288-9227 is the phone number. 800-288-WBAP. Got a note from one of my listeners, Duncan, that said, "Hey, Jeff, I always enjoy your hosting in the conversations. My moment was when my son was born 3 months premature is when I realized I'm a man." And he goes on to say his son Max just turned 26. Said, "You and I are about the same age at 60. I continue to pay it back. Life-changing for sure." He was due on April 17th, 1998, born on February 2nd, 1998. He said, "I can even remember every moment of a very scary day. Thought I was going to lose my wife and my son that day. Today we're all good and enjoying life." Got a call a little while ago from Dave in Dallas that said that moment in his life when he grew up and realized he's an adult is during COVID. His wife was hospitalized. The doctor said she may not make it through. They were concerned, and he made deals with the guy upstairs. And he said today his wife Christy is in great shape and doesn't take anything for granted anymore. There are moments in life that teach us adulthood and that we're adults. Another moment for me was year 2000. I was looking for a dream house. I bought a house that was 1,600 square feet. I was living in a house that had 3,000 square feet. Called my realtor because I saw a sign in the yard that said for sale, and I knew it wasn't a realtor's listing. It was a for sale by bank, which told me it was either a repo and repossession, an auction thing, or not an auction, but a repo thing, or probably, and this is what it was, is the death of an older person with no heirs. So the bank took it on and sold it. That's exactly what I dealt with. It was in a tough, a great community that is always overvalued. It was in a great community when prices were high, and I knew I wasn't dealing with somebody who was emotional. I also knew I was going to bulldoze the house and build my dream house. So I didn't care what the inside of the house looked like. I called my realtor and said, "Dorothy, get over here right now. I found the place I'm going to buy. Bring me a contract. Let's do this today." It was a Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. She said, "Have you been in the house?" I said, "No." She said, "Slow down. Let me get this in." I said, "No, don't slow down. I don't want in the house. I'm going to bulldoze it. I'm going to build my dream house." Talked her through it. She knew it. I said, "We got to put a contract in now." She said, "We can do it this week." I said, "No. I don't want to compete with somebody else. Let's put a contract in. I got the money. Let's go. I've got it set up. I got the financing. I'm good to go." I knew it was going to be affordable. She did. She came over. We put a contract in. Lo and behold, I bought it. I had sat down with the builder at the time. We'd come up with plans to almost spend $500,000 on bulldozing a house and building my dream house. The moment I knew I was an adult, the moment I knew I was a man, this was a major moment in my life. I had a mortgage on one house that was probably a $400,000 house. I was buying another house at almost $300,000, and I knew I was going to spend another $500,000 to build our dream house. When you're juggling 3 loans like that at one time, it'll keep you up at night. That was the moment I'm like, whoa, life is real, life is serious. Lo and behold, I ended up doing it. We ended up building our dream house. It's about 4,000 square feet. It went from 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, 1.5 bath to 5 bedrooms, 5.5 baths. We made it our family home. We raised kids in it, and it was the home in the neighborhood all the kids went to. It was a moment in my life I realized I'm a man. I went from being a boy to being a man. When you got $1 million on the line and you are floating money left and right, north and south, and people were asking what the hell you're doing, those are the moments when everybody in my life is asking me, what the hell are you doing? That's when I'm like, yeah, what am I doing? I thought I had it until everybody asked me, what the hell are you doing? What are the moments in your life that changed, that dramatically changed your life, that you realized I'm an adult? There are moments that hit us that realize you're an adult. You can hit me up across social media at Westside Jeff or 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. Westside Jeff in for Chris Crock on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3.